Why China could become the world's leading superpower, surpassing the USA. For over a century, the United States has stood at the top of the global hierarchy. Its unmatched economy, military power, and cultural influence dominating the world stage. But the winds of change are blowing. Today, a new giant is rising: China. Is it possible that China could surpass the United States and become the world's leading superpower? The answer might surprise you. The race is closer than ever, and what happens next could reshape the world as we know it. China's incredible growth has been nothing short of historic. In just a few decades, it's gone from an isolated, struggling country to the second largest economy on the planet. But this story isn't just about economic growth. It's about the global balance of power and how China is rapidly positioning itself as the new center of gravity in a world increasingly divided by influence. How did China get here? And more importantly, where is this leading? Let's dive in. To understand China's rise, we need to look back at its transformation over the past few decades. After the chaos of civil war, foreign invasions, and economic stagnation in the early 20th century, China was a country on the brink of collapse. It wasn't until the late 1970s, under the leadership of Deng Xiaoping, that China began to change course. Deng introduced sweeping economic reforms that opened the doors to global markets, launching China on an unprecedented path of growth. China's economy grew at an astonishing average rate of 9.5% annually from 1978 to 2010. Massive urbanization projects saw entire cities rise from the ground in a matter of years. Hundreds of millions of people were lifted out of poverty, and China became known as the world's manufacturing powerhouse. This rapid industrialization turned China into the factory of the world, but it was just the beginning of its ambitions. As China's wealth grew, so did its aspirations. No longer content with just being an industrial power, China began investing in education, innovation, and infrastructure, positioning itself to compete with the most advanced economies. It was clear, China had its eyes set on the future, and it was playing the long game. Fast forward to today, and China is the world's second largest economy, worth over $19 trillion in 2023. It's the world's largest exporter, sending goods to every corner of the globe. But China's economic prowess isn't just about manufacturing anymore. The country has become a leader in technology, green energy, and artificial intelligence. Take a look at Chinese companies like Huawei, Alibaba, and Tencent. These are no longer just domestic giants. They're global players competing with the likes of Google, Apple, and Amazon. China's technological advancements in areas like 5G, quantum computing, and artificial intelligence are already challenging U.S. dominance in these critical sectors. China has also expanded its influence through its massive Belt and Road Initiative, a project that involves building infrastructure and forming trade partnerships across Asia, Africa, and Europe. With over 60 countries involved, this initiative is stretching China's influence across the globe, creating a new world order centered around Beijing. But China's ambitions don't stop there. Its military is growing fast, both in size and technological sophistication. With the world's largest standing army, a rapidly expanding navy, and advanced weapons development, China is positioning itself as a formidable military power. The modernization of its forces signals its readiness to protect its global interests and challenge the United States in areas where they have traditionally dominated. So why is China poised to surpass the USA? Let's break down the key factors driving this potential shift. First, China's population is its greatest strength. With over 1.4 billion people, 4 times that of the United States, China has an enormous labor force and consumer market. This demographic advantage allows China to maintain massive economic growth, even as it faces challenges like an aging population. Second, China's centralized political system gives it the ability to plan for the long term in ways that democratic systems struggle to match. The Chinese government can implement large-scale projects and reforms with far fewer obstacles than the U.S. political system, which is often slowed down by gridlock and partisanship. Third, China's technological ambitions are unprecedented. China is investing heavily in future-focused industries like artificial intelligence, renewable energy, robotics, and biotechnology. By 2025, China aims to be the global leader in AI, a technology that will define the future of warfare, healthcare, and economies. If China can dominate these critical industries, it could cement its place at the forefront of global power. Fourth, China's global influence is expanding through its Belt and Road Initiative. By building infrastructure in developing nations and forming strategic alliances, China is creating a vast network of countries that rely on it economically. This growing influence could rival that of traditional Western institutions like the IMF and World Bank, giving China unprecedented leverage in international politics. However, China's rise isn't guaranteed. There are significant challenges ahead that could slow or even derail its path to becoming the dominant global superpower. Internally, China faces an aging population, which could slow economic growth as its workforce shrinks. By 2050, China's elderly population will nearly double, putting enormous pressure on the economy to support an aging society. On top of that, rising inequality could lead to social unrest. While millions have been lifted out of poverty, the gap between China's wealthy elites and its working-class citizens continues to grow. Externally, China's aggressive approach to expanding its influence has led to growing tensions with other global powers, especially the United States. Trade wars, technological sanctions, and military posturing have set the stage for a new era of competition between these two superpowers. If relations between China and the West continue to deteriorate, it could limit China's access to global markets and technology. Moreover, China's political system, while efficient in some respects, lacks the transparency and accountability of democratic systems. This creates vulnerabilities, including corruption, censorship, and human rights abuses, that could destabilize the country in the long term. So, what happens if China does surpass the USA? What would the world look like under Chinese dominance? China would likely continue to expand its influence across Asia, Africa, and Europe, creating new global trade routes and alliances that prioritize Chinese interests. Economically, the world might shift from a US dollar-centric system to one that revolves around China's yuan. China could also set the global standards for new technologies like AI and 5G, giving it control over key industries of the future. Politically, a world led by China could see less emphasis on democratic values and human rights, with more focus on centralized authoritarian governance. Countries that rely on China for trade and infrastructure could be pressured into aligning with its political and social model. Militarily, China could establish itself as the dominant power in the Asia-Pacific region, challenging US influence and possibly leading to territorial disputes, especially in areas like Taiwan and the South China Sea. But remember, this isn't inevitable. The United States still has strong democratic institutions, technological leadership, and a vast network of alliances that could counter China's rise. The future is still uncertain, and this competition will likely shape the global order for decades to come. The global power balance is shifting, and China is at the center of that change. Its rise has been rapid and dramatic, but its path to global dominance is filled with both opportunities and challenges. Will China surpass the United States as the world's leading superpower? Or will the US adapt and maintain its position at the top? Only time will tell. But one thing is clear, we are living in a world where history is being written every day, and the outcome of this competition could redefine the future for generations to come.